Is Katerina Panagopoulou. I'd like to welcome you to this event. This is the first event where there's a physical presence after the lockdown, and we're very happy to be with you in person. Before we begin, I would like to inform you that this event is being recorded. We're here for the presentation of the first building that will be constructed in Ellinikon. This is an iconic project. It's the biggest urban regeneration in Europe. So this is where we will have 4 associations, Amimoni, Ermis, Niki Victor Artant, and the Association of People with Multiple Sclerosis. We will hear from them all. And this is highly symbolical for Lambda Development, for this to be the first building to be erected. Today, we would have had with us in person the President for the Hellenic Republic, Mrs. Katerina Sakilaropoulou, but due to the fact that she has contracted COVID, she won't be able to attend physically. She has sent her greetings, and I'd like to convey them right away. For vulnerable groups, particularly people with disabilities, those suffering throughout their life, no matter what we do, it's never enough, said Alberto Schweitzer. The difficulties were insurmountable. I'm talking about the difficulties that people with handicaps face in their daily lives. And this is why it is our duty to constantly support them and assist them, but also to provide reliable services in modern and appropriately equipped buildings. So we know that we have one-day centers, we have daily care centers, and I'm talking about 4 associations. They have been housed in old and inappropriate facilities inside the Metropolitan Park of Ellinikon. The decision of Lambda Development to pay for the construction of a groundbreaking building in the area of the old airport to host these associations is an important step, says the President, not only for the vulnerable people and their families, their carers, but also for the development of the area, which will be to the benefit of Greek society. The new bioclimatic building will live up to the expectations. It will meet the needs of these associations, Amimoni, Ermis, Niki, as well as the Association of People with Multiple Sclerosis. So their members will have bright, safe areas, easy to use, user-friendly, so that they can carry out their activities and unleash their creativity. So we know that the construction will begin, and this will be in the context of model sustainable buildings. So this building will fill us with hope for the future of our friends and fellow citizens. So we know that solidarity, social solidarity, is the antidote to the difficulties of our times. I hope, says the President, that this arc of love will soon be ready, and it will contribute to the environmental upgrading and also the social upgrading of the area. So I now read out the lecture, and I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Athanasiou, the CEO of Lambda Development, to come forward. You have the floor, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, dear ministers, mayors, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to Ellinikon, the heart of the biggest urban regeneration project in Europe. Today is a special day, and we are all very emotional today. Why? Because the meeting today has to do with a very important matter, i.e. human values. Right from the outset, our vision was to create a project whose benefits could be enjoyed by all Greeks. So in our thoughts from the very outset was to improve the life of the most vulnerable fellow citizens. We know that the 4 associations of people with special needs, whom we will hear from shortly, are housed in bad facilities in the Ellinikon for many years now. So one of the primary objectives that we had was to create a state-of-the-art building to meet their needs. So this vision is something that we shared with them, and they told us their concerns regarding the future. We listened to them, we sat down with them, we saw what they went through on a daily basis because it's a daily struggle, and their vision became our vision, the vision of Lambda development. So we undertook the responsibility. It is our moral duty to create a new building like the one they dreamt of. So the building that we will present to you today is state-of-the-art. It has a groundbreaking architectural design, and we have access to all associations, free access and unlimited access. So it's a model for such buildings all over Europe. It has beautiful surroundings, and it covers an area of 7,000 stremas. So this will be the house of 4 associations, Ermis, Amimoni, the Victor Artant, and the Association of People with Multiple Sclerosis. So this is our ultimate objective. So for symbolical reasons and real reasons, we decided that this would be the first of the buildings to be erected in Ellinikon, and special care has been taken for it to be ready within 2023, in about a year's time. So this is a promise we made, and we're all here. We've gathered here today with these 4 associations to present this to you. So it will be presented jointly. So it's a cost of 15 million euro. This will be undertaken by Lambda, and it won't cost even €1 to the Greek taxpayers or the Greek state. We have a sense of responsibility vis-à-vis our fellow citizens who need more care than others. So in the future, we will be next to them and their families as we are now. We are going to help their carers, but also the volunteers, because their job is truly unique. Our vision is not just to create a modern building, but also to allow for a new way of life, of better quality, an easier way of life, a more extrovert way of life, which will improve the daily lives of these people, but also of adults with disabilities. And this is why it's not just the building that we present today, but the entire investment in Ellinikon has been studied, it has been planned, and we always take into account people with disabilities. I'm going to give you some examples, which are a case in point. So we have open areas. This was based on specifications for people with disabilities, for example, the slope of the ramps, the walkways, and the materials that are used. So we're talking about playgrounds in the park. They have special equipment, and they've been designed in order to allow access to people with disabilities. So we will have special floors in main pathways with special texture for people that are visually impaired. And we also have signs, even with Braille, that are positioned at the right height in the appropriate locations. So we have tried hard, and we continue to have the state on our side, the competent ministries, the municipality of Ellinikon. They've embraced this investment, and we hope to make Greece a point of reference in the world. The investment of Ellinikon is a big step forward regarding the future of Greece. So the human factor is the added value in the Ellinikon project. So here in Ellinikon, nobody's left out, nobody's excluded. It is open to everyone and accessible to all the citizens of this country. This is why it is of concern and of interest to all of us. Thank you very much.
Let us now take a look at a video. This is a video that is specially made for this day.
Είμαστε το μοναδικό κέντρο στην Ελλάδα για άτομα με πρόβλημα όρασης και πρόσθετες αναπηρίες. Και βρισκόμαστε εδώ 28 ολόκληρα χρόνια.
We have been here for 28 straight years.
Χρόνια δύσκολα.
Times have been tough. These were years filled with problems because our facilities did not suffice, nor did they cater to the needs, the real needs of our children. There were days when in this facility we used to have over 200 people, all of us together and all of us MS patients. But we are worthy of so much more. We've always dreamt of the time when we would eventually escape these circumstances, when we would no longer be exposed to the weather conditions, the snow, the rainfall. Our ceiling fell through. Well done, this is exceptional. Good for you. About 30 years ago, we were moved here, us and about 100 children that we are there to help every day. Our facilities were not fit for children, and despite our long struggles, these facilities are still not appropriate for children. Time and again, the children have told us, and what's going to become of us? Where are we going? What are we going to do? And well, every single time we keep telling them, don't you worry about it. We are going to move to a better place. I am certain that the future of these children will be so much better.
Lambda
is building the city of the future through the Ellinikon project. It's there to make sure it fits and suits the necessities and the needs of people with disabilities, and that's why we made sure that the very first building we would erect would be one for people with disabilities. It's a special and iconic building, which is also a green building, respectful of the environment. The plot of land where we will be building upon has a surface area of 7,410 square meters. It's close to the Armenia Avenue, and it's only 200 meters from the metro stations of Argyroupoli. We have counted on catering to the needs of people, helping them socialize, helping them take part in social activities, and of course our goal is to help them get educated. Our objective was not to have an isolated, beautiful building created. We wanted to make sure that we would erect a building that would be part and parcel of the fabric and the rest of the buildings. To me, the most important thing is that private entities would like to have such facilities because they have use for them. They are necessary, and we have to fund the transfer and transport or the relocation of the relevant facilities. It's a very important thing to keep everything within the fabric of the city. People with disabilities are there to help development, and of course we are helping them grow, so it's very important to have this facility built. More than 50% of the plot of land will be green. We will be planting 12,000 new seedlings and plants, out of which a great number will be typical of the Greek flora, and there will be interactive facades, walls. The gardens will be interactive. The children will be able to gather crops and even make bouquets. So this will be providing our fellow citizens with disabilities with able scope to be in touch with nature. The construction of a building that would be suitable to the needs of people with disabilities is a venture that's tough. And after all, in Europe and the rest of the globe, there's only a handful of such buildings. This is an innovative building. It's state-of-the-art. We are embarking on this venture with lots of passion, and we want to help people, but in particular people with disabilities. We look forward to having these facilities become up and running. We would like to have them become operational because Nikos, Arliki, Andreas and other children will be able to relish in the new premises. They will be able to enjoy the new facility, and they will feel that they are not marginalized in terms of growth and development, but rather they are at the core of growth. When we found out that Lambda was going to build new facilities and infrastructure for people with disabilities, it sounded unreal, but we saw the bulldozers come in, we see the project continue, it's progressing, so pretty soon we will have the day which will be, we have been waiting for 30 years. One day they invited us and they told us, you know, we are here, we will be there for you, we will be supportive of you, you shouldn't worry about the future. To us, this is a gift of life. It is important to have Lambda development prioritize people faced with disabilities or mobility issues. It's important that Lambda is constructing new facilities. This is a dream come true, and of course we are anxious to see it happen. The children are waiting anxiously for the day when they will be opening the door and crossing the threshold of the new facilities that will change their lives.
I think we heard a little bit about the beautiful things that will take place. We will soon give the floor to the people representing the 4 associations, but now let me first invite Mrs. Domna Michailidou to the podium, Deputy Minister of Labour and Social Affairs. Thank you very much. Today is a very special day. I am very emotional, and this is a highly symbolical day. A great urban regeneration project, maybe the biggest in Europe, a project that aspires to become a model of sustainable growth, is beginning with the construction, the erection of a building that was designed to fully meet on an individualized basis to the needs, exclusively the needs of people with disabilities. 4 associations of people with disabilities, Amimoni, Ermis, Niki, the Association of Individuals with Multiple Sclerosis, will be hosted in a new environment that was designed especially for them. It is accessible to all women and all men, to all girls and all boys. And I think that this is something that I keep thinking about. I think it would be very easy for these facilities to be elsewhere and not to be in the heart of this development. They could be in the hinterland, at the center of Athens, in a plot of less value. And of course, the situation would be better than what it is now. But we decided not to do that. Lambda Development, and I'd like to congratulate them for it, chose not to do this. They chose to have the first building for these people with disabilities as the first project in this site. And this is the biggest and best regeneration project in Europe. And we know that this is the first building to be erected, and this symbolizes the fact that inclusivity is very important, and this is something for next generations as well. So this is an inclusive model that will take advantage of diversity. It will invest in social cohesion and will contribute, yes, to the establishment of social peace. Unfortunately, Greek society, despite the progress that has been made in the last few years, we remain phobic. We are afraid of disability. Sometimes we believe that for the restrictions facing people with disability, their nature is to blame, the fact that they have the status of disability and that their health is the way it is. We believe that these people don't leave their home because they can't walk, not that this is a sort of social exclusion which we could do away with, that we could overcome. But that is not true. disability is not just a matter related to health. It's not a disorder only. So the inability of somebody to walk is not to be held to blame for social exclusion. I think that what we need is a different infrastructure which will allow them to have access to public space, to the municipalities, to the cities. So an exclusion that is suffered by a person with mental disability from the labor market, well, this is due to the fact that there is no program to take advantage of their skills. So in other words, disability, unfortunately, is a social disease, and that's how it should be dealt with. On our part, as the Greek government, we see this need. This is something that we have included in our policy planning, including people with disabilities in the labor market and in the social fabric. This is one of our top priorities. Our country now has an integrated plan for the active and not passive inclusion of our fellow citizens with disabilities. And we see that slowly but steadily this policy is being implemented. A few days ago, and we're very happy, last Thursday, we had the personal assistant platform that opened. And I'd like to say that this has to do with autonomous living of people with disability. We don't want the country to tell who does what and who helps whom. No, the family, the carers of the people with disability know their needs very well. However, any intervention at an institutional level, in order for it to reach the desired result, must have an impact on a sufficiently large part of society. So those that benefit directly want to take advantage of all the possibilities offered to them. They can also claim more. And civil society, with its initiatives, can make the need to show how important it is to have this inclusive growth. And then all of us individually can help in our own way in order to build this inclusive society. This event, I believe, is part of this effort, not only as regards the substance, but also as regards the symbolism. So on behalf of the Prime Minister, the head of the government, and myself personally, I'd like to express my satisfaction, my utmost satisfaction for this wonderful cooperation. I'd like to thank the contractor Lambda Development that begins this iconic project with this building because it puts it at the heart of the development. I'd like to congratulate the four associations, the stakeholders, all the welfare bodies, civil society, but also citizens at large. So the message that we want to convey today is very simple. It says that there cannot be growth when there's exclusion. So we show in practice that inclusivity is necessary, not as an ideological model or humanitarian model dictated by some moral rules, if you like, but it is a necessary precondition for social growth and prosperity, economic prosperity. Thank you very much.
Let us extend our thanks to Mrs. Michailidou, who today stands in for the Prime Minister. Due to other obligations, the Prime Minister was unable to attend this event. And on that note, let me give the floor to Artant, Minister of Development and Investments. To begin with, I'd like to wish you happy Easter and good health. Dear colleagues, ministers, Ms. Michailidou, you were to the point, you said everything, so there's only a few things for me to say. I'll be brief. I was still a young MP at the time, And I was supportive of this project as of day one. I was a young MP when Mrs. Maraka, Ms. Vasiliki came over to my office along with the representatives of all four associations, and they asked me at the time to get in touch with Lambda Development, because the four associations were really concerned and worried about what would happen with their current facilities once the Ellinikon project would materialize. I told them I'm sure that the company is highly sensitized and aware. Social responsibility is important to this company. Mr. Latsis himself is very well known as a very socially responsible person, and I reassured the representatives of all four associations that there would be no chance of them being excluded. Mr. Vangelis Chronis, for those of you who've never heard of him, play Odysseus, pray Odysseus, Vangelis is the heart and soul of this project. He indeed was the one that picked up the phone when I called him up and I told him, Odysseus, we are faced with this issue, and he said, Odysseus said, I want to see these people now. I have not had a BOD session with Mr. Latsis, Odysseus told me, but I'm sure Lambda Development is going to take a very positive look on this issue, and I would like on this opportunity to commend and congratulate Lambda Development, Mr. Athanasiou, and everyone, the whole team, because what I expected to see happen was nothing compared to what's happening now. So you outdid yourselves, dear Odysseus. You exceeded everyone's expectations, everyone's, not just my expectations. You thus made people happy, and you made children happy, children that need happiness. And as my colleague said, the Deputy Minister, you also communicated a message. The most important urban regeneration project in Europe is not something that's happening with exclusions. It's actually an urban regeneration project that's kicking off by embracing everyone. So you're making us proud, not just me, everyone, all of us who've worked in order for the Ellinikon project to be real. And so maybe the best thing we should do, we could do, I remember there was a time when people were questioning the essence behind this project, and it's good to be kicking off today and sharing the joy with children. God bless you, and I'd like to wish you all the best. I'm making a mental note of what you said. Minister, you said that this big investment project is embracing everyone and there's no exclusion whatsoever. Thank you, Minister. And now, let me give the floor to Mr. Yannis Vendourakis, who is an architect of Better Plan, Architects and Planners, and he's going to tell us more about the architectural standards and the construction phase.
So what can I say after the minister? He really said it all, but without us, this would not have been possible. So when Lambda asked us to look into the relocation of the four associations for people and children with disabilities, we understood what a huge responsibility we had before us. We understood how important this work was for Lambda and the impact it would have on society. This project is not one of the biggest that will take place in Ellinikon, but it is very important and very particular, and let me explain myself. In the old facilities of Ellinikon, we have Amimoni, Ermis, Niki, Victor, Artant, and Samsk, the Association of People with MS. For the work carried out by these associations, well, this will be presented by them. So until now, the functioning, the operation of these associations was adjusted to the existing buildings, but everything was chaotic and there was no synergy in relation to how they were being used. So Lambda decided to construct a new complex of buildings for the relocation of these associations. I believe that this was the decisive start. This had to do with the materialization of a vision which is called New Building building of associations of people with disabilities in the new metropolitan area. But in order for a vision to come true, you need effort, hard work, and the will to go ahead. So we started looking at the different programs, and we looked at the needs of every association, every individual association. This meant that we had to have meetings in order to discuss all the matters with those responsible, but we also wanted to understand how the existing facilities operate. These discussions broadened our way of thinking, and we were able to highlight some aspects that we couldn't consider evident. The love of the people for the work they carry out and the fact that they know the subject in depth. When we were producing the study, this was the litmus stone, and it helped us understand whether our technical proposals were in the right direction or not. The second pillar for the materialization of this vision was Lambda. Lambda wanted to make sure that the complex would be state-of-the-art and perfect. So we saw that what they said constantly changed. It evolved. The third pillar was the municipality and the state that supported this project and provided solutions to problems that had to be overcome. Now, for the creation of this new building, we have a plot that has an area of 7,400 square meters, and it's in the northern side of the Metropolitan Park of Ellinikon, at a distance of 200 meters from the Argyroupoli metro station. Now, deciding to include such a building for people and children with disabilities in a typical urban neighborhood was something that was innovative, and this was based on the belief that such places for treatment and training of vulnerable social groups could not actually be isolated. On the contrary, their inclusion in the urban fabric and the socialization that was expected would only be beneficial to the people receiving training and treatment, but also to local society. The complex of building covers an area of 12,600 square meters. When the building was being designed, the biggest challenge that the architects had to face was to be able to place under the same roof 4 associations, which until then were actually in separate buildings. In other words, in order for this cohabitation to be possible, the design of the new building had to ensure the independent functioning of every association, but at the same time, the common use of facilities which are addressed to all 4, i.e. the indoor pool, but also the large multiple-purpose recreational room. Let me say that this new complex of buildings that was designed for the relocation of these associations of people with disabilities is a unique example of a building where we have a cohabitation of different associations covering different needs and with different objectives. The main thing we had in mind when designing it was not only to have functional spaces, but also to create a light environment, a pleasant environment which would create a feeling of safety and which would be easy by way of orientation. So we're talking about the users of the building, and what's important, of course, is the surrounding area. We have an educational garden. This is not just to develop the skills of these children, but it also would like to allow them to better communicate and cooperate with the other children, meaning children from their own association or the other associations. So we're talking about 140 trees that will be planted, both deciduous and evergreen, that will contribute to the capture and sequestration of carbon. 12,000 plants, trees, bushes, and flowers will be planted. So the contact with gardening and with the earth will be another tool that will help them in their treatment. And I'm talking about the treatment of people with disabilities. disability. Greece and the rest of the planet are now facing the impact of climate change, social impact, environmental, and so on and so forth. So what we needed was to design something in an environmentally sensible way. This was deemed necessary, and this is why we decided together with Lambda to get ISO certification, environmental like NICDOT. LEED, excuse me. So if these visions are not materialized, they end up becoming ghosts. But in our case, we have a lot of people, a technical team, talking about contractors, the people of Lambda, the designers. We're trying to make this dream come true. Thank you very much.
Να ευχαριστήσουμε πολύ τον κύριο Βεντουράκη
και σε αυτό το σημείο ήρθε η ώρα να δώσουμε φωνή στους ίδιους τους ανθρώπους που θα φιλοξενηθούν στις νέες εγκαταστάσεις. Παρακαλώ λοιπόν την εκπρόσωπο του ΣΥΟΓΑ Αμιμoni, κυρία Παρασκευή Μπέλου, να έρθει στο βήμα. Call upon Mrs. Paraskevi Bellu, the president of Amimoni.
Καλησπέρα σας.
Good afternoon.
Καλώς ήρθατε.
Welcome.
Καλώς ήρθατε στη γιορτή μας. Καλώς ήρθατε στη χαρά μας.
Feast. Welcome to a celebration
Μεγάλη
of
τρίτη
joy.
σήμερα.
We are very happy. This is the
Μεγάλη
Holy
μέρα
Week,
για μας.
and it's a big day for us. This Tuesday is important for
Μια
us.
μέρα
This is a day
δημιουργημένη
filled with
από πολλά συναισθήματα.
emotions, all sorts of
Από
emotions.
δάκρυα, από χαρά,
We are
από
tearful,
αναμνήσεις.
we are happy, we are filled with memories.
Και εγώ σήμερα
All of this
βρίσκομαι εδώ
together, and I
για να τα μοιραστώ
myself am
μαζί
here
σας.
today to share everything with you.
Αξιότιμες κυρίες και κύριοι,
Honorable ladies and gentlemen, distinguished
βρίσκομαι σήμερα
guests,
κοντά σας για να
I'm
μιλήσω για
here
τη
with
δική μου
you
αλήθεια.
today to talk to you about
σας
my
πω για
own
την
truth,
Amimoni,
to share my truth
την
about
πορεία
Amimoni,
της,
to
που
tell you
ξεκίνησε
about
πριν
its
30
itinerary.
ολόκληρα
It
χρόνια,
all started 30
με
years
αφετηρία το
ago.
Ελληνικό και
It
τα κτίρια της
started
πρώην
off
Αμερικάνικης βάσης.
here at Ellinikon.
Που έγινε
We
και η δική
used
μας
what
βάση.
was formerly
Εδώ
known
γεννήθηκε
as
η
the
Amimoni.
American
Εδώ
military
είδαμε τα
facility.
παιδιά μας
This
να
is where
μεγαλώνουν
Amimoni
και
was
να δίνουν
born. We
ζωή,
saw our children
χρώμα
grow
και
up. We
νόημα
helped
στο
nurture
μέρος
them.
αυτό.
They also
Να σας
gave
μιλήσω για τη
meaning to
Lambda
this
Development
place. Let me also
και τους
talk to you
ανθρώπους της,
about Lambda
που από τη
development
στιγμή που οι
and
δρόμοι
its
μας
people.
συναντήθηκαν,
As of the
η
day when
συνάντηση
our
έγινε
paths
συμπόρευση
crossed,
προς ένα
we
καλύτερο
started
αύριο.
working together,
Το
walking
αύριο των
together,
παιδιών
hand in
μας,
hand, aiming
που
at a better
τόσο
future.
ονειρευτήκαμε.
We
Και
are
σήμερα
there
το
to help
βλέπουμε
the
να
vision of our
πραγματοποιείται.
children become real, and we
Η
see it
Amimoni
happen as
γεννήθηκε
we
το
speak. Amimoni was
1993
born actually in
ως το μόνο εκπαιδευτικό
1993.
πλαίσιο
It was at
που
the
μπορεί
time
να
the only
υποστηρίξει τις
educational and
ανάγκες των
training
παιδιών με
framework
προβλήματα
that
όρασης
could
και πρόσθετης
provide
αναπηρίας, των
or rather
ξεχωριστών
cater to the needs
παιδιών.
of people, and especially
Μέχρι
children
σήμερα
that are
έχουμε
visually
στηρίξει
impaired and
περισσότερες
other
από
people with
480.000
disabilities. So today,
παιδιά,
until today, we
παρέχοντας
have helped out more than
εκπαίδευση στα παιδιά
480
και
families and
σελίδες με
children.
κάθε
We
τρόπο
have
στην οικογένεια.
been supportive every way we can of the families and the children, providing them also with scope for therapies and treatment. Throughout these 30 years, we have been faced with agonies and stress, and very often, whenever each and every ministry would suggest that we move and relocate, each and every time, you see, when they told us we had to move out of Ellinikon, we were looking at something that was uncharted and unmapped. All of that went on until Lambda development came along, and thanks to Lambda and its people, we stopped being worried and stressful because we were certain the new facility would become real. The only agony we now had was about the deadline, the when, and now we are looking forward to the fact that this is going to happen very soon. I can still remember the resounding words of Lambda people, and I'm really emotional. As I think of it, they promised us that we wouldn't move not a single pen and pencil ourselves. This is exactly what Lambda people stand for. We have trusted them, and they have not given up on us. They've always been there. They never betrayed our trust. They are here, have been here throughout, each and every single day, throughout these years. They were there, demonstrating their real interest. They really love and are affectionate towards us. They make us feel like we're family. Together we kept track of our needs. We recorded our needs. Together we worked out the plan. Together we figured out the next steps to happen. Together we decided upon the timeline. And here we are today, faced with the prospects of a new, state-of-the-art, functional and operational building that will be housing Amimoni, the children and the people who work for the children. This is a facility that is housing our hope for the future. This is a big day for us. This is marking a new start, a fresh start for our association. This day helps make us come a step closer to our vision and dreams. The people who have tirelessly been working about this project are special, each and every one of them. We have to thank them. But allow me at this point, ladies and gentlemen, to make a particular reference, a special reference to a man that I first met 12 years ago, a person who has been a source of inspiration as of day one. He has made him trust him as of day one. He embraced our vision with lots of empathy and sympathy. Actually, this is a lady, Maria Cristina Misgriva. Words fail me. I cannot begin to thank you for everything you've done for us. Let us give it up for Mrs. Griva. Thank you very, very much, Mom. We owe you a lot. We're in your debt, and a big thanks also goes out to the Ministry of Labour and also the prefecture, or rather the regional authority. They helped pick up procedures and processes. They helped things come faster. And let me also extend our thanks to the municipality of Ellinikon for an excellent cooperation we've had over these years. One last but not least, big thanks goes to the significant people, the great people who have been working in this project. These are the people that gave us hope. Let me make reference to the sense of wonder and expectations that I have. I was waiting, I have been waiting, I have been patient, and I have been very trusting in these people, and I thank them. Last but not least, a big thanks to Lambda Development. Big thanks to the people of Lambda Development who are building a better future for us and our children. Thank you so much. I'd like to wish each and every one of you good health. Let me also hope, or rather express my hope and wish that we meet next year once everything's ready. So a new thing is beginning today. So have a great Easter, and I'll see you next year. Again, lots of thanks, personal thanks, and also on behalf of Amimoni. May you all be well. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Mrs. Bellu, you talked about a day filled with emotions, and you actually filled us with emotions. Your words did that. Now I would like to give the floor to the representative of Ermis, the president of Ermis, Mr. Aristidis Pananos. You have the floor, sir. Dear guests, dear friends from Lambda Development, please allow me to address you as people who walk with us on this path in this project that was presented today, which will be the buildings that will actually host our associations under your auspices. Given the opportunity, after inviting you, I want to talk to you about our association. And I'm going to give you a short history, and then I will come back to the recent past. So 34 years ago, in 1988, we founded the association Ermis. This is for people with disability, the main aim being to improve the daily lives of our children and to be able to help them become part of society in the smoothest way possible. So initially we had rented 3 buildings, always in the area of Ellinikon. Then, in 1996, KED, the public property, the state public property organization, together with the Ministry of Welfare and Solidarity, gave us some buildings belonging to the former American base, and this is where we are still today. So that movement was like a benefaction to us. Why? Because we were able to increase the number of children we provided assistance to and to make use of new programs that were more modern than before. Unfortunately, time is not forgiving. So as we came closer to the present day, and because our needs became more numerous, and because we had problems like wear and tear of the buildings, these buildings, to be honest, are no longer in a position to meet the daily needs of the 100 children and 35 employees. So we were at a dead end. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the bailout programs and the biggest recession that this country ever faced, we heard that Lambda Development undertakes to build at the Ellinikon, and suddenly we saw a beam of light. A beam of sunlight. There was a glimmer of hope, and I remember our first meeting at your offices where you announced us that part of your plan and in the context of CSR and your sensitivity, you wanted to create a complex of new buildings for our associations. Believe me, this was the best news we heard in the midst of the difficulties we encountered at the time. Your assistance, your help was and will always be valuable to us. I would like to conclude and say on behalf of our children and by me and the board, we'd like to thank you for everything that you're doing and you will continue to do. So we'd like to say 3 words. We thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was more than 3 words.
I think that by listening to the people who are critical to the operation of these associations, what becomes apparent is how important it is to have these buildings and how important it is to have the first building house people with disabilities. Over to Mrs. Vaso Maraca, the president of the Association of Individuals with Multiple Sclerosis.
Καλησπέρα σας.
Good evening.
Ένα πολύ ωραίο γλυκό ανοιξιάτικο απόγευμα.
This is a great and peaceful spring afternoon or rather evening that is also the day when we are gathered here to have this great start, and off we go thanks to Lambda Development. This is also Holy Week, and And I think the timing is perfect. We are awaiting for the resurrection, literally and metaphorically. And this is happening after all. Resurrection will be here because many people pitched in. Mr. Georgiades, when he was still an MP, was helpful. We paid a visit to his office along with other associates. Even at that time, he showed interest in our case. He said, "Fear not, everything's going to work out," although we had no idea what would happen. And eventually, as time went by, we made a visit at Lambda Development. We couldn't help but notice, but they had their arms open. We knew that they would embrace us, and we were assured and reassured that we would have a new facility for the needs of our people. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Lambda Development. Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, to begin with, I would like to express to you my thanks for allowing me scope to share my thoughts and also my emotions vis-a-vis the new building for our association. And it's great to have this happen thanks to the Ellinikon project. The Association of People with Multiple Sclerosis is an NGO. It's a non-profit organization. We've been up and running since 2007. Our headquarters are at Ellinikon. We have more than 2,000 members. We were founded exclusively by people suffering from MS, and we are being run by people who are patients, MS patients. So we are providing support, help and aid at all levels to the families and the patients. We are one of the founding members of the Pan-Hellenic Association of MS Individuals, and we're also an associated member of the relevant European Association. Back in March 2022, a month ago or so, we celebrated our 15 years of successful operations, 15 years filled with faith, conviction, visions aimed at helping people and their families. And of course, we are very responsible and accountable to the people. At that point, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to emphasize in particular the awareness and sensitivity that Lambda Development has demonstrated according to the Ellinikon project. The very first building that will be erected here will be one to house us, amongst others, 4 associations in total: Ermis, Amimoni, Victor, Artant, and the Association of Individuals with MS. And so, thanks to them, our members and the families thereof will be provided with a state-of-the-art and beautiful facility where people will meet and exchange views and ideas and also sentiments. We were always admirable of other associations, especially MS associations in advanced and developed countries, who told us that companies were formally protecting them within the scope of their social corporate responsibility schemes. So we were told that there are such schemes to provide support and assistance to our peers abroad. Allow me at this point, allow us at this point to express the sense we have. It's great to have Lambda Development act as our protector and guardian, and we look forward to you being there for us. Let us all help this new hope that was born today become real. A dead end presupposes a way out, and people are always the answer, no matter what the question may be. We are a social entity, and we are here to remind everyone that each and every single citizen has the same rights as their neighbors. Please remember that this act of yours, especially at this difficult point in time and against the backdrop of the pandemic, is a cause for us to be emotional. Words fail us. We are very grateful to you. We as an association and we as patients and individuals with MS, thank you wholeheartedly for being there for us. Thank you and have a great Easter. And I would also like to wish you that you never bump into any obstacle whatsoever. I would like to wish you success. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Maraca. And we will now hear from Mr. Evangelos Graus, President of Victor Artant Niki. Thank you. Good afternoon, dear ministers, mayors, MPs, colleagues. The price of being the last speaker is that you have nothing left to say. Everything's already been said. There's very little left to say, maybe nothing at all. But what I can say is that I have this great feeling, and this is something that the previous speakers, my colleagues, shared with you. Those of us dealing with disability have a code. This code is a deep code. It's not something shallow or artificial. It comes from the heart. We speak from the heart. But because it's a code, not many understand it. It's not that everybody understands it. It needs to be interpreted. And sometimes we have to turn up the volume of our voice. Sometimes we whisper and some people can hear us. So this is what's happening in the world of disability. There are these variations, these differences. But what I'm called upon to do today, as was done by the previous speakers, my fellow colleagues, is to actually leave our mark, the mark of our association. And the mark of our association, the representative, is the child you see before you on the screen. And you might wonder, Victor Artant, that's a name, and it's a full name, a name and a surname. And we have given this name to our association. This is our story. This is our own little fairy tale. And because it's a fairy tale, it has some truth to it. Remember, fairy tales are always true. It's the stories that are not always true, and they clash with reality. So I have to bring out my speech, and I'm going to stick to it, because then otherwise I will digress. And because you're tired and you've already heard a lot of speakers, I'll try to stick to the text. Let me start reading this fairy tale. And all fairy tales begin. Once upon a time, there was a little blonde boy whose name was Victor, i.e. Victor, winner. He looked like an angel. It's just that his behavior was different from that of other children. And it's as if someone had said to him, you came to this world all of a sudden, and that he would have to leave in the same way suddenly. And that's why while he was on earth, he smiled. He smiled as if he knew that his life would last as long as a dream. So a little bit before he left this world, he decided to leave his legacy, i.e. his smile, to his friends, to the children, to those around him. So from the moment you left, you have been our guiding light, and this is how we walk on this road, the difficult road that we have to follow as the Association of Parents of Children that have autism. Are we talking about autism spectrum disorders? 15 years ago, we actually were housed in the softball area, which is right behind us. There were many problems, many walls that we had to break down in order to turn this building into a school. And maybe we are the only association housed in Ellinikon, and we've used our own financial resources, and with the help of the parents, we've been able to support what we do. We haven't received €1 from the Greek state. We've been able to support our work thanks to our own financial resources. And this requires a lot of strength. Everything was difficult, but everything moved on, and suddenly everything was quiet. The road became longer and longer. Then there was an announcement, soon this will no longer be like this. And we felt fear. Remember, Mr. Georgiadis, the fear. What will we do? Why are there bigger obstacles before before us. All of a sudden, we heard a voice. And this voice was that of the person who is in front of me. When together with Mrs. Maraca, we found ourselves in the Lambda offices. Of course, we were a bit late, remember? We were late. We went later, but we were there. That's what mattered. And our heart was beating fast because we were worried about what you would tell us. And then we heard you saying calmly, don't be afraid, don't worry, there's no need to worry. It's what you told us all. You told us not to worry. That's all you said. Nothing more, nothing less. You didn't make any promises. You said we shouldn't worry. And this is something we kept in our hearts. This is something we told our families, the families of the children that we take care of, and all the families were relieved when they heard that you said we shouldn't worry. It was nothing out of the ordinary, but it was something magical. It offered great relief. And that's how we came to the present day. After many meetings with you, with Lambda Development, under difficult conditions, some video conferences as well, with the company that is going to build the building, with your associates, your consultants. They were always with us, by our side, offering their support and their help and their guidance. So this was wonderful, and I think you saw a picture of the building that will be constructed, this complex of buildings, and this will no longer be a prop-up model. It will become a reality. And you also said something else. You said that this building will be ready in 2023. So this is just the beginning of something new. It's the end of an old era, and this is the case for all 4 associations that will share this complex of buildings. So you've offered us a new start, a new beginning, and a new vision. So we start seeing things in a different way. And everybody says it's your right. It's the right, minister in a European country. It's our right to believe that this is something self-evident. Unfortunately, because there are many problems, nothing can be taken for granted. Nothing is self-evident. So thank God we didn't need to go somewhere else. Thank God that we have Lambda Development that is offering us this great complex of buildings. They've opened a new door so that we can now go to this wonderful new complex of buildings, which will be ready to greet us, all the children, the parents, and the 4 associations. So thank you very much. We are no longer stressed. We're no longer anxious about the fact that we have nowhere to go. We know that we also have responsibility. This is a legacy. It's like our story. This child is our legacy. So you are offering us a legacy, and we have to carry this legacy on. It is our responsibility not just to say all these fancy words about Lambda Development. We have to rise to the occasion. You give us a beautiful complex of buildings, a true jewel, and we have to upgrade it. We have to show dignity. We have to show that everything must be in line with these specifications, high-quality specifications. And Lambda Development should be proud to have decided to carry out this investment, because they decided that this was the first project to be implemented in the site of Ellinikon. And the philosophy of Lambda is human beings. It's not making a profit. Thank you once again for everything you've done for us.
Σας ευχαριστούμε πολύ, κύριε Σβράου. Και κάπου εδώ ολοκληρώνεται η σημερινή μας εκδήλωση. Σας ευχαριστούμε πολύ.
This is the end of tonight's event and presentations. Thank you very much for attending this event. Thank you for being here or watching us virtually over the internet. I believe everyone's impressed by what we heard, but also what we saw. We're all impressed by the fact that these edifices will create a sense of security and safety for people with disabilities, offering them scope for growth and development. See you in 2023.